A small company has put a lot of time and money into the development of a new battery technology. They are close to securing a contract with a large producer of handheld electronics. A demonstration has been scheduled. The demonstration consists of a random sample of 50 batteries that will be tested for voltage and discharge rate. The day before the demonstration, an employee discovers a potential issue. He is not certain, but he believes that a recent modification in the production process may cause a reduction in the capacity of the battery that would cause the demonstration to fail. The company cannot afford a failed demonstration. The following table shows their alternatives and potential outcomes. The alternatives are to postpone the demonstration or demonstrate now. If they postpone the demonstration and the product is defective, then a good thing happened. If they demonstrate now and the product is defective, that would be an error. If they postpone the demonstration and the product is not defective, that would also be an error. If they demonstrate now and the product is not defective, then that would be a good thing. Two of these combinations represent error. The worst error would be to demonstrate a defective battery. It would be very difficult for the company to overcome the loss of confidence that would result from a failed demonstration. The company should strive to minimize the potential for this particular error. The error of postponing the demonstration when the product is not actually defective would also generate doubt in the minds of the electronics manufacturer. But the battery producer would get a chance to test and correct any potential issues and then demonstrate with confidence. It is very common to relate this process to the American judicial system. A defendant is presumed innocent until guilt can be shown beyond the shadow of a doubt. 12 people must declare that the evidence removes that doubt. The following table shows the alternatives and outcomes for a criminal trial. The assumption is that the defendant is innocent. If an innocent defendant is acquitted, that is a good thing. If an innocent defendant is convicted, that would be an error. If a guilty defendant is acquitted, that would also be an error. If a guilty defendant is convicted, that would be a good thing. Remember that a defendant is presumed innocent. Now we're going to talk about the two errors that we see here. Error number 1, convict an innocent person. The commission of this error means that the assumption was true, but that true assumption was rejected. In this case, the evidence presented and examined gave the appearance of guilt. Any evidence that would erase that appearance was not presented. This is the worst possible error, and its potential should be minimized at all costs. Error number 2, acquit a guilty person. In this case, the evidence to convict was not presented and examined. We are going to discuss two types of error that we will incur in the process of hypothesis testing. The first error that we are going to discuss is a type 1 error. A type 1 error occurs when we reject an assumption that is actually true. We call this assumption the null hypothesis. It is important to strive to minimize the likelihood or probability of committing a type 1 error. That probability is usually given the symbol alpha. So alpha is the probability of committing a type 1 error. Remember that it is important to minimize this probability. In our example of the criminal trial, a type 1 error would occur when we convict an innocent person. Remember that for this particular error, we would strive to minimize its probability. A type 2 error occurs when we fail to reject an assumption that is not true. In our criminal trial example, this would be similar to acquitting a person who is guilty.